Hello fin lovers! Today's video is going to answer the question that I get asked more than any other question whenever I'm at a fish club meeting or talking at a fish club meeting or even answering questions in any of my socials or on my YouTube videos. Help! I've got fish eggs in my tank. What do I do? How do I save them? How do I raise them? Today we're going to talk and answer that question. Stay tuned. Okay, fin lovers, so as I was saying, when I attend fish clubs, whether as a member just watching the presentations and attending the auctions or actually being a speaker at the club, I get questions a lot, especially when it comes to what do I do when I have Cory eggs on my tank? What do I do? How do I get them to hatch? What happens if my pleco has kicked out his eggs from the cave? How do I save those? So today I'm going to be talking about 3 pieces of equipment that I find indispensable in my fish room, and I believe you will too if you're serious about getting those eggs to become fry, eventually juveniles, and then, you know, our big wish is to get some adults out of them. So I'm going to go through these in no particular order, but we will discuss some of the benefits and some of the drawbacks of them as we go. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Fluval Breeder Box. Now I'm sure we've all seen these in other videos, in fish stores, online, whichever. I'm going to give you a little turnaround here so you can see. This particular section gets hung into the tank. So what happens is you've got a box, you have an inlet area, and you have an outlet area. This right here is your outlet. What you would do is you will take this tube, you will put an air line right here, you will hang it right here. There's a little cutout for that to sit in there nicely. There's a gate that you will put over here to keep fish in, and then you have, I should have separated my demonstration before. Here we go. You have a lid that goes on here to keep anything out. So what happens here is when you put your air line here, air forces water to come up through this tube, fill the container, and then as it overflows, it comes out this side, goes back into the tank. What this does is this keeps fresh water constantly in this box, and the water is going to be the temperature of what you have in the tank. Now, one of the problems I have with this particular setup is this little gate. I find that the gate itself is too wide for a lot of fry. So what'll happen is the fry will swim up to the gate, and then whoop, they get swooshed away by the water going out, and they end up in your main tank. So my one con that I have with this is you need to put something else here. That would be like a piece of sponge that is porous enough to allow water to go back into the tank, but at the same time it'll be restricting the fry or whatever fish you have in here from getting out this little area. That's basically one of the only drawbacks I have of this box, and this is why I generally don't try to hatch eggs in here. What I will do is I will try to rear fry, and again, by doing that, putting a sponge here so they can't get out, it keeps them at temperature of the tank. So let's just say you have Corys in here. Once they've hatched, I'd get them in here. They're getting the same water that the mom and dads have in the particular aquarium and so forth. It's going to be constantly giving them fresh water. So that's something that they need to have. And it's a nice self-contained area where you'll be able to siphon up any food that hasn't been eaten, so it doesn't foul the water. What I will do in a pinch, if this is the only thing that I have in my aquarium that I can use as a hatcher, I'm having a great turn and there's many fish having breeding going on, then what I will do is I will take an airline. See if I can do it this way. Put this down. I will take an airline and I'll put it through the lid. To that I will attach an air stone. I will then put this here and I will angle this so the air is going to wherever the eggs are. Purpose of this is you want to prevent fungus from happening on your eggs. So all of these have the same idea of moving water, moving the eggs around, but this is just an extra step in this particular breeder box. I find it indispensable and helpful, but again, I generally do not use this for eggs. We're going to go to another item right now. This is a Ziss Egg Tumbler. And the way this works, take the top off, you put your eggs in here, fill it with water. You take this part, push it down. This comes with a sponge up here, helps to keep any nasty stuff from getting in here and again fouling your water. And then up here, you simply would put airline. The air goes down through here. There's an air stone. I don't know if you can see it, and I might have to take this off. Take the tube out. Comes with a little air stone. So that goes straight down the tube. When you put it in, the water comes down through that line that you see right there, keeps movement and motion going on within the particular tumbler, and your eggs will not fungus in theory. One problem that I have with this is Cory eggs are very, very sticky. When I use this, I do not get a very big yield of fry compared to the number of eggs that went in here. Again, they're kind of stuck to the glass or stuck to the bottom. They're not getting the full range of motion coming in of the water, and some of them do fungus. If you have too many that fungus, what's going to happen is that fungus will affect the good eggs, and then you will lose your batch or the vast majority. So you definitely want to make sure you have flow going over your eggs. So that's where this comes in handy, and this is probably my favorite breeding equipment that I have in the fish room right now. This is called a German breeder ring. This was invented by input from several breeders over in Germany, hence the name German breeder ring, and it's a very, very simple concept. This up here is styrofoam, so this is going to float in your aquarium. This little cup down here is where your eggs are going to be, and the base down here is made of a very, very, very fine mesh. So it is so fine that you can feed baby brine shrimp to what's ever in here, and the brine shrimp will not get out. It's very, very tiny. So it does allow water to leave, but it doesn't allow anything else to leave. What you have is you have a sponge on this end, and they call this a jet lifter. What happens with this is you put an airline right here. Against all of these items are air driven. You put an airline right here. It brings water through the sponge, through the tube, up the tube, goes into this little hole, and this right here is going to shoot water through the German breeder ring. That's going to keep your eggs moving. That's going to keep the water movement at a level that you really want for proper breeding. When you use this, or at least when I use this, I see at least 80 to 85% good eggs being hatched and turning into fry. One of the drawbacks about this is it is a little fine down here, so you do have to go in occasionally with a pipette or a turkey baster or something along those lines and get some of the food that hasn't been eaten or some of the waste that just happens to lay down there. But it's a very, very small con when you consider how much you're going to get in return with baby fry. So this particular item, as far as I know, can only be purchased in the United States through Swiss Tropicals. I am going to put a link to all three of these items down in the description. Please note, I am not getting any money for any of this. I am not being supported on this channel by anybody, so what's coming out of my mouth is what I firmly believe are the best items on the market, and I will put a link to where I find them to be of the best price and the best value if you can get them in multiple places. When we think of equipment, I don't think a lot of times we think of like liquid as being part of an equipment, but this is methylene blue, and methylene blue itself is an antifungal. So if you don't have any of these items available, but you do have methylene blue, what you could do is move your eggs to a separate container. And again, I would make this a separate container from the fish tank itself in case it tips, because you don't want to get methylene blue in your water. But you put a couple of drops in the container, add an air stone, and your eggs. The air stone and the methylene blue alone should help you have a good harvest of eggs. But I will be honest, I have had my least success with this, but I have suspicions that the eggs themselves weren't fertile. So I do have to do some experiments, but this would be my last choice because I believe these other three items, especially the German breeder ring, will give you better value for your money than the methylene blue. Some of the problems with methylene blue as well is it stains. I don't know if you can see it, but I just picked this up to move it to the table and I've got blue fingers already. So it does leave a stain if you get it on a countertop, if you drop it on the floor, if you drop it on the carpet. You're going to have a conversation with your better half as to why there's blue stains all over the place. So while it does serve its purpose, it's not the first thing that I reach for. Okay, see you on the flip side. There you have it, fin lovers. Those are the pieces of equipment that I use in my fish room to help me raise generations of Corydoras, plecos, blue-eye pseudomcgills, basically anything that lays eggs in the fish room. I hope you found it insightful and enjoyable, and if you have, I would sincerely appreciate a like and a subscribe. Please stay tuned. I'm going to add some stock video of my fish room, of these items being used. And as always, remember, you're going to need a bigger tank. Have a great day.